Today is May 2nd, 2021. It's Sunday, and this is my fourth tour of the garden. Starting with my herb tree, which the nasturtiums don't look too well, and well, 2 out of the 3 don't, and I don't know if it's the container, but the sage is growing. Don't have anything there. The mint is doing well. I harvested some mint to make mint juleps for the derby yesterday.
Yummy, yummy.
You're so corny. I've got cilantro that's looking okay. Stuff here needs to be watered. This mint took a beating when we got the high winds and I accidentally dropped the container. But I've got mint down here that looks okay and sage down here that looks okay. So with the exception of these 2 nasturtiums and some mint, most of this looks good.
Is there anything planted over here?
I didn't plant anything, but I do believe I have a volunteer sunflower here, which I'm going to transplant. It looks like a sunflower. I think it's a sunflower. So we're going to go with sunflower. I had sunflowers in this area.
Get the dogs. Say hi, dogs.
You could tell them their names.
There's Saki, JD, and that's Judah that's spinning.
Now this raised bed is new. It was supposed to be for lavender, which is why I have 6 lavender planted up here. But the peppers, the sunbright peppers and the tangerine weren't looking so good in the raised bed bag, so I moved them here. I'm acclimating my sweet potatoes to the outdoors. And inside the tunnel, I'm acclimating the ginger and the other sweet potato slips. Not much in here anymore. These peppers have been in for a couple days now, since Wednesday. I planted 8 Tabascos on this bed. They have 2 nasturtium and 1 marigold. And this is our strawberry patch. I've added 2 marigolds here.
Well, those are Ecuador tomatoes.
I told you they were marigold. And I think we have a strawberry forming.
You see? Oh, look at there.
I think a couple of these are at that point or close to that point. So hopefully we'll get some strawberries. My intention is that this will be a no-dig bed, but clearly I have to work on my borders. The roses are looking much greener than last time. We got a frost after they were planted, and they were looking kind of beat up. One's recovered better than the other, and once this fence here is taken down and put up properly, we can give them some type of arbor or trellis to grow up. So this is raised bed number 1. I was experimenting with this bed. I planted it out in February, which is pretty early for zone 6B, 7A in New Jersey. I really don't know our zone because the Farmer's Almanac doesn't know our zone either. But stuff in here seems to have gotten pretty stunted, but the lettuce is starting to grow. It's starting to take off. So I'm hoping I can do this as cut and come again. I may not get as much because it got warm pretty quick. I'm covering it to try to keep the cabbage looper off of it so that the caterpillars don't eat it, but the carrots are also taken off as well. So everything in here got a pretty slow start. I'll have to come in and thin some of this out, maybe not, but the onions here are, I think, a lost cause. They haven't really done anything.
I think the random onions in the yard has done better.
These set of onions I transplanted, they were doing really well in a grow bag. And then once I put them in this raised bed, they kind of turned pale. So either I have to amend this bed or just keep onions in a grow bed. And then raised bed number 2 has all the peppers. They seem to be doing well. I've got quite a few buds where I can see they're going to be fruiting. Now in this bed, these are all habanero.
Which ones are?
The first 6
Okay.
are habanero. I've got regular hab in this row and chocolate habanero in this row. Then this row is supposed to be jalapenos, the larger variety. I have 2 cayenne and then 5 sweet cherry, which are hot. I don't know what happened with the planting on the sweet cherry. I obviously messed up a little bit. So this is my second wave of tomatoes. These guys I potted up and brought outside. They need to be watered too. I potted up and brought outside just a couple days ago. They're getting acclimated and they'll be getting planted probably within 2 weeks. And my second attempt at basil, I lost my basil in the frost in April. I lost my basil in the frost in April that I didn't plan for, so I planted again, and I don't have a lot, unfortunately. And then I'm glad I potted or seed started additional sunflowers because the ones I put in the ground, I didn't have a good germination rate. So these will be going in the ground this week, as well as the lavender will be going in the ground this week. This bed that they're on will eventually be the squash and melon bed. I seed started my starts for the squash and melons already. Another bed with some nasturtium and onions, and again, the onions start looking good and then I don't know. So raised bed 0 for the onions. I am proud though of this guy. This is I believe it's a tall trailing. Yep, a tall trailing nasturtium. It got into here and has these huge lily pad like leaves, but it's impressing me. Its partner, not so much, but got another 2 marigold. Still nothing in those back 2 containers, but the potatoes are sprouting, so they've already topped the bag. We'll see. Now these 3 bags of onions are doing really well. Deciding whether or not I'm going to trim them again. I probably will trim them back, see what happens with that. But they're looking the best. So my peach tree, which I don't know the variety, is fruiting. It has, I do have to prune this, but I think it's so cute that there are 2, can you get that in focus? that there are two right next to each other, but they can't grow like that. So I'm really proud of my little peach tree. And then we've got the first wave of tomatoes. I put, is this 11? There are 11 tomatoes in this bed. I put cages around my Roma and my Rutgers Select. They seem to be doing okay. And I'll be Florida weave. I'll be doing the Florida weave for the rest of the tomatoes, as I cannot put cages all throughout this. And the types of plants these are do not really like cages, I found. And then over to our strawberries. Our second strawberry patch, which is in a green stalk tower with the rustic garden color. So we have a lot of flowers. I was nervous because I didn't see any bees. I thought that strawberries needed to have a pollinator, and I was happy to find out that you didn't need a pollinator. So far, I think I've replaced 5 plants in here that died. So 25 are the original, and we have 2 new. There's really long ones down there, and right here are the seascape that we just transplanted. They were looking pretty leggy from Home Depot, so I rescued them since I needed to, and hopefully they do well. This one's a little wonky, but this one seems to have a lot more fruit on it than the other one. A lot less limbs, a lot more fruit. Now that it's flowered or leaves have come in, I can kind of see where I need to prune this one. Not much for this one, much more for the other one.
Oh, can I show you our rainwater barrel set up? So we got the 2 high enough so buckets could fit. When that one fills up, it'll fill up the back one. So far, so good.
Garden tour. We're gonna do a full urban homestead tour. These are the chickies. Are they all out? They're not all out. But our coop was purchased from an Amish shed maker. The run we built.
You put the wrap around it to keep the rain and snow out of there. Kind of helps out.
A formal introduction to all the ladies will be forthcoming. They all have scarves. In the front, we're back to the lily bed. So I totally didn't take any pictures last year of what the lilies look like and the height. So I have some new varieties that I bought that I didn't have any idea. So that's why I have some super tall ones, some short ones, some bushy ones. I have the hot mess going on clearly. So it's exciting to see. If you look in the middle, you can see the bulbs that are, or the blooms that are going to be coming on some of them soon. So they're definitely maturing. I can't wait to see the colors that I get. My extras bag. Yeah, that seems like it belongs in the extras bag.
So I trimmed the bushes back a little bit. Gave them.
Should have trimmed the rose bush.
I guess it needs a little bit of trim.
Something's eating your rose bush. Or your rose tree. But this is our rose tree, which needs to be staked forward now, because now it's tilting back. We'll have some blooms coming soon. And then same thing here. I have lilies all planted, but clearly I didn't know some would be super tall, because none of them got this tall last year. So I have some that are super tall, some that are super short. So the goal for next year is to do a little bit better at planting. I think this guy is a lost cause. I don't see any green, but I said I would give it through the summer. So we're gonna give it through the summer and see what happens. Its friend over here is still kind of holding on. This hasn't gotten worse. And I see some signs of new growth. So maybe this one will come back. Totally my fault. I did not cover it, build a box for it, do anything for it for the winter, and we got a New Jersey winter for sure. And that wraps up today's garden tour.